Hi everyone, and welcome back to another Music Masterpieces. And this evening, I can't believe it's taken me this long to get to Black Sabbath. I mean, that's a bit of a failing, isn't it? Um, well, I'm going to fail no more. Here we are, Black Sabbath, 1982. This is one of my favourite Black Sabbath tracks ever. And it was kind of like in the early Dio era, where after the Heaven and Hell album, the More Brawls album came out. This is a track from it. Let's start listening to it. It is The Sign of the Southern Cross. Love an acoustic guitar start. You're so always ahead of the game, Sabbath.
If there isn't light when no one sees, then how can I know what you might believe?
Ronnie James Dio. I I was so lucky to be around and see Sabbath in '82 when this album came out, and Ronnie just personified the magical, mystical lyricist, taking it from Rainbow through to Sabbath. And, you know, I know that this was an album that they struggled a little bit with, but you got you still got guys at the very top of their game. Tony Iommi's guitar, we've got Vinny Appice on drums and Geezer on bass. But the two sort of X factor ingredients, if you like, in this are Tony's guitar and Ronnie's singing and lyricism.
A story told that can't be real somehow must reflect the truth we feel.
Anyone that's listened to Ascensionism by Sleep Token, some parallels here.
Fade away, vanish into smoke.
A lovely falsetto.
Fade away, break the crystal ball. It's the feels like a tale.
I love the atmosphere that's been created here.
On a small world west of wonder, somewhere, nowhere all. There's a
Keyboard, very light keyboard in the background.
when the summer falls. If an echo doesn't answer, when it hears a certain song, then the beast is free to wander, but never seen around. And it's the sign of the Southern Cross. It's the sign of the Southern Cross.
So you listen to Modern Day Vessel with Sleep Token and the way he kind of climbs up and down notes. And there's Ronnie doing it. There's Ronnie. Was he the original one to do that? Probably not. There's probably other vocalists that did it before Ronnie. But in a rock sense, that kind of deepness in his voice and that delivery was just so polished and so perfect. And there's a lot of similarities to what we hear today in bands, to their inspiration, if you like, going back to this kind of music, setting the scene. So again, you know, parallels with Ascensionism, setting the scene. In Ascensionism, you get this like very slow start, but obviously it's a keyboard start. and then that goes in and you start getting hit by the drums, the guitar. And here we are, in 82, where exactly the same thing, except it's just a guitar, acoustic guitar. Then you get hit with the atmospherics, the keyboards, the drums, and then the absolute pounding of the vocal as well. And it's just so amazing. Still that atmosphere running through this.
From the book, the word is spoken, whispers from forgotten songs. Gather all around the young ones, they will make us strong. Reach above your dreams of pleasure, give a life to those who die. Look beyond your own horizons, sail the ship of sight. And it's the sign of the Southern Cross. It's the sign of
Lovely bass run there by Geezer.
fade away, break the crystal ball. Fade away, I can't accept it anymore.
This is where it just sort of goes up into the ether for a little bit. Lovely, lovely high note on the guitar. Lots of space in this track. Much more filling in from Vinny Appice. And everything fades away.
On a real world west of wonder, somewhere, nowhere. There's a rainbow sea and shimmer when the summer falls.
Love that.
From the book, the word is spoken, whispers from forgotten songs. Gather all around the young ones, they will make us strong. It's the sign of the Southern Cross. It's the sign of the Southern Cross.
All that note.
Don't live for pleasure. Make life your treasure. Fade away. 8 miles high, about to fall, and no one there to catch you. Look for the sign, the tide, the sign of the Southern Cross.
Oh, more guitar there. echoing just in the background, still creating that atmosphere. Or use of the cymbal. And then there's this keyboard at the end. Hear it. When albums had tracks that sort of bled into each other, your side A, side B, you could do that. So it would just carry on, carry on, carry on, and then it would go into another song. And it's quite difficult to do that with playlists that we have now digitally, and you know, it's just become a completely different way to listen to music than we used to. We had album, turntable, listen. If we wanted to just selectively listen to a track, then obviously we stick the needle in the place where it started and hoped for the best, depending on how steady your hand was. And I've never had steady hands, so that was always a bit tricky. But the thing with, you know, with albums going back that time, there's much more sort of concepts around them throughout the album. Although, you know, I do see lots of concept albums out today. I think that there was a real sort of sense of, you know, having a theme to it, in the beginnings of having themes so that you could do something on the stage. When we went to see this live, you know, obviously we had the similar type, you know, we had the t-shirts with the album cover on. I think, as I remember, there was a very, very large cross on the stage as well. I wish I could remember more of it. So frustrating when you go to gigs, how you're standing there and you're really enjoying it, but somehow it's not. I don't know if this happens to anybody else. Tell me if it does when you go to a gig. When you get to a certain point afterwards, we just don't remember a lot of it. Maybe you remember bits, you know, but I can just remember the undiluted excitement at being at this gig, seeing this band live, hearing Ronnie in the flesh, if you like, being only X amount of steps away from him, and a huge loss to the rock world, not having him around anymore. But what's great about music, isn't it, is that people always get remembered. And this was my first memory, if you like, of Ronnie. One of my favourite Sabbath songs, as I've said. I've got many more. There will be many more music masterpieces, so look out for the next one. And come enjoy another track with me. And I'll see you next time.